It's Alexis Nazaravich here, and Alex Lepke is behind our camera today. We are filming from the Aki Center, and we're thinking of all of you and hoping you're enjoying this beautiful weather. We know it's gardening time right around the corner, and some of you might be interested in getting some gardens started and some seeds started. So we thought we would share with you what we're doing today. So it's April 6th, and we're about 7 weeks away from our last frost. So the way it works in Manitoba is we have on average 120 frost-free days, and our last frost is generally around May 25th. So what you'll find on your seed packets, whatever you have in your house, or maybe you're going to go out and get some, is that you'll often hear about seeding your seeds a certain number of weeks before the last frost. So if we count backwards from May 25th, that puts us about 7 weeks away from our last frost. So on our seeding charts today, we're looking at everything that needs to be seeded in early April or at the 7-week mark. So on our list today, we have peppers, eggplant, Swiss chard, kale, we have tomatoes and cabbage. Okay, so we're lucky that the garden centers are still open. A lot of them are accepting online orders or curbside pickup. So that's great for us at this time of year. What we have here is some standard equipment that you'd find at places like Canadian Tire or your local garden center. So we've got seed trays, or seed inserts, and we've got trays that they go in. But not everybody has these things at home, and by all means you do not need these things. If you have them, great, but you can also use things that you find in your recycling bin. So you can use any tray that will hold your soil. If you poke holes in this, it will do great at starting your seeds. It could also be a plastic container, like a yogurt container, sour cream container, anything like this. This will also work really well. So use what you have. Don't worry about having specialized equipment. Once you have your containers figured out, what you're going to need is a seeding mix. So again, when you're making your orders to your garden center or your local store, you'll want to make sure that you ask for a seed starting mix. And the staff there will be helpful and help you find what you need. One thing to consider is how much room do you have. So if you're only going to be sowing a couple trays, make sure you don't get more than you need. So it'll only be a couple dollars. Because most people don't have grow lights at their home. So what you'll want to choose is your sunniest window in your home, your south-facing window. So if you don't know which way is south, this is a great time to figure that out. Your south window is going to collect the most heat and the most light, and that's what your seedlings need at this time of year. So if you do have grow lights, it's going to improve the success of some of these plants because they do need strong light in order to grow tall and strong. If they don't have enough light, they get what we call leggy, and they're a weak plant. So if that's your case, we just want to bring to mind that you can grow something like this in your south window. This is lettuce. So lettuce don't need quite as much light. They certainly don't require a grow light. And the idea is that you're going to eat it about at this height. So you're not going to let it grow for months and months. You're just going to grow it till it's a nice height for you to eat, and you're going to cut it with scissors and eat it. So one of the things you want to refer to is whatever seeds you decide to plant today, make sure you read the instructions on the back, because every seed requires something slightly different. So generally for the things that we're sowing today, it's going to be 1 seed per cell. So these rectangles here we call cells, and you can see my soil's already wet. So what I like to do is fill my container up with soil, give it a light water, and then make a little hole so that I have a place where my seed can sit. If I have a suspicion that my seeds are a bit old, maybe I bought them last year or the year before, I would definitely put 2 or 3 seeds per cell, because they might not all germinate. If they all germinate, you have some choices to make. You could either cut out the ones that you don't want. So if you have 4 that germinated, you can cut out 3 with scissors and leave the one that you think is looking the best. Or you can transplant the extras with something like a pepper plant. What you might find is just as easy as taking a pencil and poking it down inside the cell and loosening the soil up. And you'll grab one of the leaves of the pepper while you pull up, and you'll be able to transplant that seedling into a fresh container by simply making a hole and patting it in and then watering it in. Germination means that the seed turns from its hard, state, hard, dry state, and it begins to grow. So essentially what you're going to notice is that there's some green poking up from the soil, and that means that it's germinated. It started to send out a root as well as a shoot. In general, they might tell you on the back of the seed package how long it will take. It's variable, but most of the seeds you're going to see something happen within the week. The seeds that we're growing today are all going to be covered with a little bit of soil. Not too much, but I'd say about twice as thick as the seed or twice as wide as the seed. That's how much soil you want to put on top. So it could just be, half a centimeter in a lot of cases. You're going to water them in once you've planted them, and then you're going to check on them. The goal here is that you're going to be a good observer. You're going to tend your seeds every day and check on them. So once you start noticing the top of the soil getting dry, it's going to turn from dark brown to light brown. Once you start seeing that happening, you want to give them a light water. Not a soak, just a light water. And just remember that the seed right now is right at the top of that cell. So when the soil dries out at the top, the seed is also drying out. So the goal is to keep everything nice and moist until that seed germinates. And once the seed germinates, imagine that that root is actually reaching down into the depth of your container. So it's looking for water. So long as you can do the lift test, if your tray or your container is heavy, it means there's good moisture in there. But once it starts feeling light, that's your indication that you're going to need to water it. You need to poke holes in the bottom so the water has a way to escape. So generally seed starting mixes are quite porous. They have these white bits in here called perlite. And what that allows is good drainage, because our seeds will rot if it gets too wet.